I'm Peter. I'm the owner and the operator of the Farmhouse, and I wanted to give a video that gives a little bit of the history of the farmhouse. So this farmhouse dates back to the late 1800s of W.D. Campbell. W.D. Campbell owned all of this land here, going back to what is currently now the Christian school behind here, all the way out past Buck Mountain Road into Clearbrook, and then all the way down to US 220, which at the time was called Rocky Mount Highway. And this was the original farmhouse for all of those lands. And in that time period, farmhouses were built on top of the hill, and then the fields were down below. And so that's why the farmhouse here is on top of the hill. The land's actually extended to the north past where the Blue Ridge Parkway is. He subsequently sold the farm to the Simmons family, who then sold it to the Ray family. O.C. Ray was her name. And in 1949, as they were starting the creation of the Blue Ridge Parkway, the Commonwealth of Virginia approached her to purchase these lands on the northern part of her property for eventual creation of the Blue Ridge Parkway. And I'll put in the picture of the letter that actually was written from the Commonwealth of Virginia to help reroute her road. So her road originally went further here to the north through where the current on-ramp is for the Blue Ridge Parkway, and then met up with Rocky Mount Highway there. And it was moved then in 1949 to this road that we have here. So the road that you actually will come in on, or have come in on, is actually the portion of it where you make that turn, that left-hand turn to come through, that actually is Blue Ridge Parkway. And we access this property through a perpetual easement from the National Park Service in order to come up here. And so if I turn the camera here now towards the southern field, so here in the southern field, this was all original field. You can see that this is field on the aerial photos that go back to the first aerial photography, and there's some of those photos in the den. And the field's actually extended further north, where all of that vegetation is now, beyond our white boundary markers. The field's extended beyond that. Additionally, the field's extended on the southern portion of the property, where I've got my barn, down through here, as well as on the eastern portion of the property, which is now, the front yard. So Mr. Campbell divided up his lands among his family, and those lands eventually became some of the parcels that are down a little bit closer to US 220. We've actually been able to acquire one of them, and that is our other Airbnb we call Grandma's House. It's been fully remodeled and actually looks very similar to the farmhouse with the black and white motifs. So let me go inside and I'll show you some of the things on the inside that we have kept to preserve that historic feel of the property. So first, looking from the outside, so what we have here is our outdoor area. This used to be the parking, at least it was, all through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Right here is where the cistern was that we removed and filled in. And then this was yard through here, which is now the parking area. And then the shed that we made the coffee table out of sat just beyond here, just beyond that dogwood tree is where that shed sat. This was yard here. We've turned it into a dog run area. But let's go inside and we'll show a couple of things that we've done inside. All right, so coming in the back door, the first thing you notice is this table here. This was actually taken from one of the barns. Well, we actually used it during all of the construction process. We cut boards on it, put our tools on it, and at the end of our construction project, we finished it and put it in here. These are the bells that are on the back of the door. These were here. We kept those. Here are some boundary markers that you'll see if you walk around the property. We've got a photo of one of the monuments. That's actually right there by where you come in, the photo of that monument. Some of these boundary markers, I did get these not from the property, but I did get them sourced appropriately. We've got some photos of the property of how it looked in the 60s and 70s. This is the woman who I bought the farm from, who grew up here. This is a picture of that shed that was out currently where the drive-through is. These two kids grew up here. I actually bought the farm from them. And here's another picture of the house, probably from the 60s or 70s. So this room here was originally the kitchen. And you can tell because there's a couple of receptacles there that are still on the wall. The stove is right here where we have the laundry room. There was actually the chimney that was right here that we had to fill in order to put the laundry here. This room here was added in the 80s, I believe in 83. At the time, it was not a kitchen, it was a den. And so we decided to turn this into a sit-in kitchen to take advantage of, probably one of the best features of the house, which is the view, out these windows and then out the backyard. There's some other pictures that are around. You can see we've got this one here over the sink. There are some others, in the kitchen of the house. I got these all from old slides from the previous owner, as well as some signs, again, appropriately sourced, that match with what the Blue Ridge Parkway uses for their own signage. This telephone here actually was my grandfather's, and I put it back here in this house. The Coke bottles here, we actually found in one of the sheds and cleaned them up and put them here. So if you notice some of the postcards that are on the fridge here, so these are from the Parkway Motel, and if you look on the back here, Tom Wickline, manager. It was Tom Wickline that had this farm for over 50 years, from the 1960s, well into the 2010s, and that motel that he managed was across 220 where the Volvo car dealership and the other car dealerships are now. So part of what we wanted to do to preserve some of the history here was to have some postcards from the motel that Mr. Wickline managed. As we kind of go through other parts of the property, you can see here, we kept this window. That's the same window that's in the back of that photograph there. You can see there. And then as we come in here, so this was a parlor. We've kind of kept it as a den, but this was a parlor originally. And then this was actually the dining room. This room here we've converted to a bedroom here on the main level. There used to be a door right there that went into the living room. And then this bathroom here was built in order to make this a bedroom in here. But this was originally a dining room. You can tell because the window there is not centered on the wall for a bedroom. That window is actually centered on the entire space from there to there. And then this whole room was the dining room. Parlor, had a door here, that would close it off from the living room, which is why there's a door here. In the den, we do have some aerial photographs that we got from the USGS that show the farm. You can see here's the farm here, and there's those fields that I was talking about that really extended northernly, and then that was the road that went out to met up with Rocky Mount Highway, and then the new road had to be built because of creation of the Blue Ridge Parkway. You can kind of see that progression as you walk around from photograph to photograph, how that road was rerouted and how the farm eventually overgrew in the areas where the parkway was because it was no longer farm. So this clock here actually came from the neighboring property, what we call Grandma's house, but we chose to put it here. This desk actually belonged to my father growing up, and so did this banker's lamp. And so I used it for years, and we got it refinished and we put it here. because we felt like it fits. It dates back to the 1920s. My parents got it at an estate sale in Meadville, Pennsylvania. So a lot of the cast iron items, were here in the property, when we bought it. So coming into the living room, the old student's desk was actually in the other property, and we decided it was better up here. The living room has some other pictures from around the farm. If you look carefully, you can kind of figure out where they're from. This is the road coming up. None of those trees that are there now are in the picture, but that's the road coming up. That's Old Maybury Mill there. There's a great picture of Mr. Wickline standing on top of his car. We have that one actually in the downstairs bedroom on the Blue Ridge Parkway. You can see there. So Mr. Wickline left us several pictures from his trips on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we decided to put some of them up. So that picture there of Old Maybury Mill was actually taken by Mr. Wickline. So a couple of other photos around the property. You can see that's the same road coming up. This picture right here would have been right there. So this coffee table, I actually made this coffee table out of the door that was on the shed. So that same shed that you see a picture of in the mudroom, this is the door that that came off of it. So I refinished it and made a coffee table out of it. So going upstairs, there's just a couple of other little items. So one thing about these older houses is it was pretty common to have a bedroom that came off of another bedroom, and that is in here. So sometimes I call this the green room. We've got pictures of when the farm is in full foliage on the wall in here. But in this room, the other bedroom comes directly off of it. And that was typically because, how houses were set up, when this house was built, was all the bedrooms would be upstairs. There was not typically a bedroom on the lower level. That's something that's in our era, to have bedrooms on the main level. And one of the bedrooms needed to be accessible for a nursery. So this is where the parents would have been, and then this would have been the nursery here, coming directly off of it. And that was a pretty common house layout for that time period. So the last thing I'll show is in this room here. We have a couple of photos of Tom Jr. and Diana from when they were teenagers, and the family car. You notice here in this photo here, this is taken from across the street at the Parkway Motel, where Tom was the manager, where Mr. Wickline was the manager, and that house in the background, that's now Grandma's house that we own and operate also as an Airbnb. So that's it. Those are the things that we've done to preserve the character of the farmhouse. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you enjoy it as much as we have. And certainly if there's any other questions, let us know.